Welcome back to another amazing episode of the FitBiz Journey podcast. I have an amazing episode for you because this time it's all about culture. And who is best to have about culture than Marc Megna, the co-owner of Attaining, which is the most prestigious gym chains down in Miami and all the surrounding areas of Miami. And we went to their newest location, sat down with him, and we went over everything that you need to know about how to build a thriving business from being a personal trainer for over 10 years. But before that, actually, he was a professional football player in the NFL. Yes, he played for the New England Patriots, and after that, he became a personal trainer, a pretty good one. He was in the cover of many magazines and many things, and then eventually he went on and started this amazing thing. And I'm super excited to have an amazing person share it to you how to develop yourself and your teammates. He is such an amazing leader, and you know why? Because he had amazing leaders who developed him. And he's literally giving you the advice in this episode on how to develop your own team and how to develop yourself so you can create that amazing culture that is just thriving with your employees and with your clients. So make sure to watch this episode because this is going to be amazing. You have done some amazing things and I cannot wait to share it with our audience.
Thank you. Thank you for being here and thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's an honor.
Thank you. And by the way, I just want to pause real quick and say that one of our amazing listeners mentioned it that we should have you on the podcast.
That's what I heard. So we can thank Vanessa.
Yes.
For pushing this.
Exactly.
Vanessa.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Yeah, thank you very much, Vanessa. She's always helping others, so that's really nice. A very good person and an incredible part of our team. She's a hard worker and we wouldn't be here without her. That's the truth. She works very hard.
It's so glad to hear that.
Yeah.
That's what it seemed like too when I talked to her. It's amazing. So what I wanted to find out that why did he become a personal trainer and how after he basically stopped playing in the NFL, and then right after that, how did he end up creating the amazing and prestigious gym Attaining in Miami?
Well, my career ended by an injury, so I wasn't left in great health. My body was a little bit broken and I wanted to heal my body. So I basically went to work and tried to figure out all the different things I could do to help myself get healthy and improve my quality of life through nutrition, through movement. I had a bad back injury, so I was spending a lot of time in a pool. I couldn't really bear weight, so I had to really figure things out. And through that journey, I figured out that if I could help myself in this way, I'd like to be able to pass that on to other people. And everyone says they want to help people, and I think that's wonderful, but I wanted to show people like what's possible and what they're capable of. So if they're performing or living their life here, there's nothing wrong with that at all. But if they want to be here and they want to push themselves a little bit, maybe I can provide something from my world and what helped me and pass it on to them. And that's how I got started in personal training.
And was it also here in Miami when you first started?
Yeah, I started at a corporate wellness facility, and after my professional career, I went to work at a corporate wellness facility as a ramping trainer.
Wow.
Yeah, it was very humbling, very humbling. And you start back on the bottom, you know. I think, you know, it sounds like a great story now, but going through it, it was actually very challenging for me.
I figured.
You know, it was very humbling, and I had to know it's not going to happen for me. It didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen in a few weeks or a few months. It took, you know, a couple of years to really start doing well. Mm-hmm. And what I find now is that people starting something new, if they don't get immediate results, they think it's either not for them or it's not a good profession or it's not worth the energy. And I always believe to be good at anything, it's going to take time, you know, and you have to be willing to sacrifice many things to get there.
And have patience of all things, right?
Yeah, I mean, we everyone wants, and we want things immediately, but it's going to take time. As you said, you have to be patient.
So how long, you said it took a few years. So when you mean it took a few years, do you mean you still worked at corporate basically for many years?
So I was working at a corporate wellness facility for, I worked there for I say almost 10 years. That's what it felt like. It was from probably 2006 to 2014.
Wow. Okay. So pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good time.
Yeah. And everyone and their mother told me that, I was too good for this. You have to leave and you should go on your own. You should train privates. And I was thinking, I really want to be a part of a team, and I liked the environment I was working in, and I really enjoyed learning from others. I enjoyed being in a setting where people actually cared about me, and I saw that there was a little bit of a cultural deficit, or not deficit, but it lacked the upbeat, positive culture from the leadership in the top down. And I really wanted to try to, create something that had a wonderful culture. And that, many, many, many years later, I was working, still training, and I got an opportunity to work with my business partner, who he's really responsible for, creating anatomy. And then we had another business partner who's like a mentor to me and gave us an opportunity, and we all came together to create this wonderful thing. But it started with that culture. That was the idea. It wasn't just fitness. It wasn't a beautiful spa and recovery. It was, we want you to come to the facility and have an unbelievable experience. From the time that you park your car to the time that you walk out and someone's either holding the door for you or leaves you with a have a great day. And they're not just words, they're positive energy flowing through you.
And speaking of culture, as soon as I walked in, I took a picture of this, but the first thing that I saw walking up to this amazing facility was what it read on the door is culture is everything. And I think that's what it's on the charging station too, right?
Yeah. So we have these little chargers, but they're on our apparel as well. And it just means that you don't, if you have great training, you need to have great training. If you have great systems, you need to have great systems. But if you don't have a great culture, then what's the point?
Exactly.
So you need to have a great culture, and it starts with our team. The people that we have on our team, these are lifers. These are people that they are all into fitness and wellness and performance and improving quality of life and optimized living. Like this is what they love to do. And from people like Vanessa, who works in our sales and absolutely dominates it and does such a great job, to people like our COO, David Geller, who's been in this for, several decades, and he's just such a smart man. To my business partners, who they're very healthy, they train every day. It's their life and they love it, and they want to be involved with a team and a culture and people who are sharing the fitness and wellness wealth, so to speak.
Yeah, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
You guys are really doing an amazing job. The first thing when I came in here, well, first of all, everybody greeted me at the entrance nicely, just not like other places. Because so many places, unfortunately, you walk in and they ignore you, or they are on their phone. Yeah. Here, as soon as we open the door, everybody like, oh hey, right away. And I felt like we're welcomed and everything, and that comes from the top. And because if you don't treat your employees with respect in the same way, then they're not going to treat their customers like a leader.
Of course. And
it's very amazing.
Yeah, we want our community to have a great time. We want our members to have a special experience, but it all starts with our team. Like if we don't have great interaction with each other, if we don't take care of our team and put them in a position to be successful, or put them in a safe and secure environment, we can't expect them to do the same for the members. And we do our very best to try to improve that on a daily basis. So
that's amazing.
Yeah,
I'm very glad to hear that, because that's what I love to hear. And we try to find people, like you, who basically that's what they really aim for, including our podcast. So the new gym owners like you guys, who basically listening right now, and personal trainers can actually learn from you, and not going through all those mistakes that I made, or possibly you made when you first started, and all those things.
I still make a lot of mistakes, I tell you.
Yeah, it just happens.
I do. I mean, and I say it a lot, but there are no self-made men. Like the people that are anatomy, like anatomy is not me. It's not, my business partners. It's really all of us together. We all make it so special. And if it wasn't for each person plays an integral role, right down to our trainers are called body architects.
That's
and
awesome.
at the the Midtown location, they're incredibly special. At the Miami Beach location, I mean, these guys work long hours, but they love what they do. And then at the One Hotel, we have an amazing collaboration with the One Hotel where our trainers and instructors at the One, they're phenomenal. Like, they're amazing people, and our leadership over there is terrific. They're great people. They know people, and they are so invested in their team. It's really inspirational. Really.
That's amazing. That's really hard to build and
Yeah.
continue living it to every day.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
So when you basically got out of corporate, was it because you finally realized that, okay, I can do it on my own, or because, like you said, the partnerships?
No. I couldn't do it on my own. I mean, for every person that wants to open up a gym, like people don't know. Like, in our first few months, like we struggled. We struggled a great deal. It didn't happen overnight. Like, we faced some major hurdles. It was tough. I never thought, like, hey, I can open up a gym, it's going to be easy. It wasn't really like that. It's like, it wasn't, let's build a gym. It's, let's build a community and a culture, and let's start there. That was the most important part, because having a facility with great finishings, it's not necessarily easy, but it's easier to do that, stack it with great equipment than it is to find a great team, because with a great team, you need people who have great character. You need people who have great, working on business ethics and great morals. And you really can't teach those things. You can teach training, but you can't teach the other things. So I always try to find people who have very high character, because the skills you can teach. So I look for a high character team.
I love that. So let's talk about it for a second.
Yeah.
So when you guys hire here, for example, then what would be the number one thing that you look at?
Well, we're a bit secretive about our hiring process. It's a bit extensive, and we're refining it. Shout out to our team and Nikki Pepper for helping us with that. We're refining our systems, but we look for people who have high character, period. If someone comes in and they're constantly talking about themselves, we know that their priority is themselves. And right down to the influencer on social media. If you're all about you, there's nothing wrong with that at all. But people know, if it, walks a certain way, talks a certain way, and acts a certain way, that's what it is. It's not something else, right? So we're in this thing to serve other people, and it's not easy to serve other people. It's natural to put yourself first, but if you can find a strong group of people who want to help others, that's a pretty powerful team. And we try to put the message out there that that's what we're here for. When you step into this facility, we're here to help you, and we're here to give you our best, and whatever it is. It could be training, it could be lending an ear for an hour. Like, we're never going to bully someone into training if they're not ready to train for that day. They might need to talk something out. They might be having a major life crisis. That's a part of coaching.
Coaching conversations.
Yeah, it's a big deal, And if you want to force training down their throat, you miss the number one rule, which is the most important person is the person standing in front of you, not the person you see in the mirror.
That's amazing, because we just had an amazing interview not a few days ago with an amazing person who I call an amazing leader. And he said exactly the same thing what you were saying, and he also have an amazing team and culture. He's the CEO of Feeding Tampa Bay.
Okay.
And they not only give away food to people in need, but they also let them come in and shop. Like, you shop at a regular Publix or store, but you don't pay at the end.
Wow.
And you just go home, and it's not for people who, like, you would think, let's say, on the street. Well, it's for them too, but it's basically for people too who let's say, just can't pay the bills.
Yeah.
But what I was trying to just say with this is that he basically said exactly the same thing you're saying, which is just shows me that you guys are very up there as high-level leaders to look out for your own team.
We're trying, and we're trying. The truth is, we have a lot of great leaders in anatomy in the organization, right down to my business partners, Chris and Randy, to the other leaders. We have a leader here, Rob Stevenson, the guy he's so even keel, very cerebral guy, just a solution finder. We have Grant, Jacqueline. They're wonderful, really smart people, and they have a lot of experience. And the leaders at the one hotel, Asher and Devin, they're good people, but they understand. The best part about all of our leaders, they understand that we all have something to learn, and we have a long way to go, including me. Like I don't have all the answers. I wish I did. Probably wouldn't still be sitting here if I had all the answers, but you learn as you go. And I learned so much from the leadership at Anatomy that, you know, it's a positive journey and process, because we know we're all open to feedback. We all want to do better. And it's not just we want to do better for Anatomy. With that feedback, we want to be better. That makes us better in our life, in our family, in our relationships, in our working relationships, with our teams, right? With each other. And those are takeaways that you can't find that anywhere else. Like, that's the upside of being at a place like Anatomy, the culture, the organization. You're learning things. I would always give this analogy. If you're working within a team, and let's say there's 12 other trainers, right? You're training someone, so you're getting that one-on-one experience. But there's 11 other people working with 11 other clients, and you're absorbing what's going on there, right? Not directly, but they're training people. Yeah, indirectly, their energy, the conversations, just you're getting a lot of experience, and that's 1 hour. And then if you're working 6 hours, 7, 8, 9 hours, well, look at all the information you're taking in. You say the 10,000 hour rule. Now, if you're doing that by yourself, it's going to take 10,000 hours, right? But if you're doing that with other people, the collateral knowledge that you're gaining is so valuable and so high. It's invaluable, really.
And that is, I think, the perfect time to point out that you guys have the amazing culture and the knowledge and the team for that. But if somebody is in the wrong environment, it could be just as bad negativity, because you don't want to be around those people either.
Yeah.
So team is so important.
It's so important. I played for Bill Parcels. I played for Bill Belichick. I played for Dick Lebeau. Do you know who that is? Yeah. I played for, Coach Belichick, but Pete Carroll. Yeah, wow. That's 4 Hall of Fame coaches. You know, people say they're just legendary coaches. They kind of stand up there and do this, and they don't do that at all. They're very personable. They're very understanding. They can look at you and know exactly what you'd be good at and what you're probably not as good at. And they put you in a position to succeed based on your skill set. The reason Belichick's guys do well is because I'm not going to ask the linebacker who's 6'4", 250 to cover a running back that's 5'10", 190 pounds that can fly. Why would I do that? And they're like, he's a pro, he should be able to do that. I already know it's not going to happen. So I'm going to have the linebacker do something else where the safety covers him. So it's, they say Bill Belichick has the greatest ego. The truth is, he's a very real guy. He doesn't have an ego like that. He's a realist, and he understands, like, is Tom Brady going to go somewhere else? I don't know. But he knows exactly what he needs to do if Tom Brady comes back to win. And that's why it works, right? But all the things, half of me says we do a lot of things here the Patriot way. We really do. But there's a lot of things I tell the managers here, we're not the Patriots. Like, we can't act that way. We can't be that hard on people, because they'll quit, or they'll say that you're too hard on me, or that's not the kind of life I want to live. It's too intense. Like, when you watch the documentary, you'll see the type of life that I lived. It's a very intense, go at all costs, don't sleep much, kill yourself,
never back down.
and I don't believe that's good for a lot of people. I understand, and you guys know, to do what you do, to do something significant and extraordinary, you're going to have to give up a lot of your life, and the chances are you're probably going to die young. That's I'm serious.
It is.
But, I'm not saying pound my chest and I'm proud of it, but it's a very real thing that you have to come to grips with and say, all right, I'm going to try to push myself like this for this amount of time, and then figure out systems that work that aren't like, I got to take a mix of the Patriot way and what's best for millennials and mash it together and think, this is how we can do this. Because a lot of people think when someone brings an idea to a team meeting, we have a lot of younger people go, no, we can't do that because of this, we can't do that because of this. And I try to teach them that let's figure out all the reasons why it could work before we start saying it doesn't work, you know?
Yes.
You know, I often say that if you're around some bad energy, if you're a beautiful, shiny, organic apple, and I put you next to a rotted apple, even though you're not a rotted apple, you're going to get some of that on you, right? So we have to be very mindful and careful of the people that we bring into our culture here, because you know there's people here who they're here day one, they're looking for an exit strategy, and look, I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to do something else, but if you just applied for a job and you just showed up, you might want to try to master this first and then move on, right? Like, I don't expect everyone to be here forever. That's not what it is, but get to a place where you're really find your stride, you're doing well, you're financially secure, you feel good about what you're doing, and you want to take another step. That's wonderful. But I've always believed in mastering your space before you move on.
Yes.
Right?
I agree 100% with you. What would be, you think, if you would have a choice, and you could pick that? I asked this question to some of the people that with hiring, that let's say, if they would hire somebody, like let's say your coaches, if you're able to pick how many years you want to get out of them versus you don't know, like ever. So it could be a month, it could be a year, it could be 5 years, 10 years.
Yeah.
If you don't know it, but meaning, would you do the risk of not knowing, or would you be okay with like a random number of, not a random number, a fixed number of, let's say 2 years? I know I get 2 years out of my coaches.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I know that in the industry, that's like a standard number, 2 years. I'd rather not know, because I think some people it's going to be a 2-year mark. Some people it's going to be a 5, 6, 7-year mark. You know, and there are some people who are just very comfortable with having a lifestyle where they train a certain amount of people a day. They know what's coming in. They have a dependable organization they're working for. That organization believes in them. And then there's people who they want to live off the seat of their pants and risk it a little bit and go to other things. I don't think one's better than the other. It all comes down to who that individual is, what they're searching for, and what fulfills them. Because the thing that fulfills the person that wants to do 8 to 10 sessions a day, and what fulfills the person who needs the adventure in their life, I mean, they're both. They could be both wonderful people. They're just different drivers of life, right?
Yeah, 100%. What would you recommend to people who just right now would, let's say, personal trainers could be, start out on their own, and if they have the choice, because right now, let's face it, there's lots of social media influencers who sell you on like the overnight success, you know, unfortunately. But the question is, would you recommend, let's say a personal trainer just comes out to find an amazing place like this, of course, to work and master the craft, which you have already mentioned, or tell them to just go experience on their own and try to freelance? Which side do you think you would aim more?
I mean, well, being a business owner and knowing that, like, I'm so biased because I love our team and I think the world of them, and every day something happens where I'm just impressed by them, who they are. And, you know, we say we're a team, we're a family. It's all those things, but it's also a business. You know, and we need production and we need performance. There's no denying that. I say if you're just starting out, your question is for someone just starting out. Well, if you're just starting out and you don't know the business, why wouldn't you want to be at a place with a proven brand where you could learn something and have a bit of air cover, as my business partner always says, and you have a little bit of protection? Meaning, if you're out on the street, your next lead might come from Whole Foods, it might come from the movie theater, it might come from a dinner, someone approaches you. But if that doesn't happen, where do your leads come from?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's pretty risky. Or you could work at a place like this and get leads
hands over fist
every day, and you know that you have security because it's right there. Now, anyone who's seasoned at their craft is going to be able to convert those leads into sessions. But that's an art and a skill as well. What I mean is, you could have the best program in the world, but if you don't understand how to communicate the information to the person standing in front of you, then it's useless. So, I've seen amazing trainers, great coaches with great skill sets, and they can't communicate to save their life. I'm talking about guys with degrees, guys with master's degrees, and they have zero clients because they don't understand that the way they talk and the verbiage they use isn't conducive to the person who needs training at the most beginner or primary stages. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that made perfect sense.
Yeah.
We could frame this.
Yeah.
That was like what they need to hear
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, but it's true. I mean, if you're, I'd almost take a person that's a way better communicator than a better trainer.
I agree with you. Yeah.
Really, I would. And I know people were probably rolling over in their seats hearing that, but it's not that training isn't hard. I think it's incredibly hard. It's so in depth. There's a lot of just between anatomy, physiology, all the movements, the mechanics of the body, all of those things. I mean, it's daunting, but what I've learned is it's even harder. The number one fear, over death is public speaking, right? Mm-hmm. So that would tell you that it's a bigger fear to actually communicate, right?
Yeah, true.
Than know a skill set. If you don't know a skill set, okay, you can learn it. But if you can't communicate, there's no guarantees that you're going to feel more comfortable communicating in a year, really. Yeah.
I love that because, you could, and it's all sales, because even in the studios or downstairs, let's say in the gym, there's a woman who's trying to sell you that she's not going to lift weights because she doesn't want to bulk up because that's her belief. Right. And if the coach doesn't know how to sell, all he's going to say is, well, you're not going to bulk up, let's go lift those weights. Right. But that's not going to fly. She's eventually going to leave if you're not going to be able to convince her or sell her.
Word choices, you say, what makes you think you're going to bulk up? And the answer is usually, well, I've lifted weights before and I bulk up. Perfect. My next question is, how do you define bulking up? Mm-hmm. Because her definition of bulking up may be swelling from the previous workout where, there's a bit of inflammation and she's feeling like, that she's bulky. Yeah. And if you just walk her through the science and what actually happens, she might be okay with it. But no one ever took the time to explain that to her.
Exactly.
So I think being a good communicator is a major contributor of being a good coach, obviously. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't necessarily mean that a good trainer is a great communicator.
Exactly. I love that.
Yeah.
So I asked him, if should you or should you not build your own fitness business or gym? And then, I cannot wait for you to hear the answer, but he then also goes into it. How long did it take him to create this successful brand and how hard it was and what type of sacrifice he made in order to do that, from family, friends, money, no sleep, his own health. So that was just pretty cool to hear how he actually laid it out, that how hard it was for him to get where he is and how hard it is, but eventually when you get there, it's great. Let's say if it's your friend and your friend is so excited about opening up its own gym, would you talk him into it or would you talk him out of it?
Run.
No. You know how many people said that, by the way?
Oh, really?
Yeah, they say that first,
really?
always. Yeah.
They say run?
Yeah,
I thought it was going to be original.
Yeah.
Sprint. No, it's like anything else.
It is.
Obviously anyone can do it, but I don't need to say that. We know that. It's what are you willing to sacrifice? Yeah. And that's the truth. Mm-hmm. That's the truth. I get to a point, the greatest person in my life is my wife. Like, she's the greatest thing to me. She's amazing. We were talking about her earlier. Yeah. She's a wonderful human being. And I'm one of those guys that loves spending time with my wife. Now, for the first, 4 or 5, years, call it what you want. Like, I didn't really get, up until recently, I didn't get a lot of time to spend with my wife.
Can I pause you for a second?
Yeah, please.
I just want to take a pause, and I don't know if you guys heard it, but you said first 4 to 5 years, right? Not months, not weeks. Yeah. First 4 to 5 years.
Oh, yeah. That's for sure. We had to strategically plan dinner.
Yep.
Okay, tonight I can be home at 7:30. Yeah. Now, do I go home earlier? Yeah, I do. I go home earlier now, but that took, as you said, that many years. Yeah. And I was talking to another friend of mine. He's a successful person in his business, and he said it usually takes 10 years to build anything significant. It takes 10 years. Yeah. In those first 4 or 5 years, it was man, like I'm sleeping very little. I'm extremely stressed. I know it's not healthy. And all the while, then I'm getting people telling me, you know how important it is to sleep. You know how important it is to rest. You know how important it is to not be stressed. I'm like, of course I know how it's terrible for me. I don't like it, but I also know if I stop going at the pace I'm going, if my business partners stop going at the pace they're going, we probably will fail. Yeah. And not only do we not want to fail, we want to have success, but we also have a bunch of people working for us, with us, that we don't want to let them down either. Yeah. You know, so it's, you know, a little bit of drive and energy to keep pushing. But what I would tell them is think strongly about what you're willing to sacrifice. Mm-hmm. Because creating a beautiful space with great finishing and amazing equipment means nothing. Exactly. It means nothing. You have to find incredible people who are going to go to war with you, not for you. Yeah, exactly. I love that you said it with you. So I found out also by an easy Google search that he has a new documentary coming out on Amazon, iTunes, and basically all the streaming devices. So I wanted to ask him all about what is this documentary and walk us through it so we can actually know more about it. So one of my friends from college, teammates, he actually played after I was there. His name is Randy West. He has a production company called Monarch Productions. Mm-hmm. We would sit around and tell stories about athletics and students and going to school and football and all the things that we learned from each other and from coaches, and they were just wonderful life lessons. And we would tell these great stories, but they weren't just stories, they really happened. And he said, this would be a great documentary. And I always used to tell him, I don't know if anyone would watch it but us, because we love it. But you know, we talked about it for a few years, and he actually went out and got the first interview. Mm-hmm. And he said, hey, Marc, I got the first interview for the documentary. And I was thinking, what documentary? but we had talked about it. And so Randy West has always wanted to make an independent film documentary. And he got in his car and drove to 50, 60 interviews all over the United States and Canada. Wow. He's married, he has 2 kids, he has his own business, he has a lot of responsibility, and he made it happen. He did everything on that film. Wow. Everything. And if you think about it, when does he have spare time? Mm-hmm. Never. He never has time. And this is like a church guy. I called him one Sunday. I said, what are you doing? I said, you're at church, right? He said, no, I'm in the parking lot working security for all the cars for church. He was in the parking lot working security, and that's what he would do in his downtime. I mean, this guy he's like a human dynamo. It's unbelievable, like the amount of work. So the film is just a kid from Fall River. When this comes out, you could probably see it on iTunes and Amazon, and it's on Vimeo currently. So please go watch it. And what is this film about? It's about Marc Megna's life, but if you're a young person, if you're a person who was ever bullied, it's for you. If you're a single parent, or you were raised by a single parent, it's for you. If you struggle in school, it's for you. If you have dreams of achieving anything that's important to you, it's for you. If you have big goals in sports, it's for you. There's a lot of ups and downs, and it talks about all the wonderful people in my life, from my mother, who's one of the greatest human I've ever known, who raised 2 boys by herself, to all the coaches. I didn't know my father very well. He left at a very young age, but I had 10 coaches who were like father figures to me. And then even the mentors now, and my business partner, Chris, Randy Frankel, all these amazing people in my life. And Randy West did an incredible job creating this beautiful story. And the story, it's great, Daniel, because each story told within the documentary starts with one person telling the story, and then 10, 12 people tell the rest of the story.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's really great. So please check it out. Just a Kid from Fall River. You can Google it, and I hope you enjoy it.
We'll link it in, guys, to make sure you can actually see it. We'll put it into the video and probably below in the comment sections as well. Yeah. And lastly, I wanted to ask you this because one of our listeners knew that we are coming here and actually going to have an interview with you. And he asked if when you played football back in the day,
It wasn't that long ago. It was actually very long ago.
Did you think, because I believe you were on the team at the same time with Tom Brady back in the day,
Yeah.
did you think that he would become the GOAT of football at that time?
I'll tell you a funny story about that. So in the documentary, they interview a few of my cousins. And my cousins would come to training camp when I was with the Patriots. And my second year with New England, Tom was on the team. And I said, okay, guys, before we leave the field, I had my shoulder pads on. One of my cousins was carrying my helmet. And I said, I just want to introduce you to the backup, one of the backup quarterbacks. His name is Tom Brady. He's from Michigan. He's actually going to be a great player. My cousin turned to me and he said, nah, Marc, I'm not really interested in meeting any backup guys. And meanwhile, I'm a backup and I'm thinking, you really should meet him. This guy's going to be a great player one day. He's like, no, some other time, Marc. And they still tell that story. I said, you could have hung out with Tom Brady and you said no.
Wow.
That's a real story.
That's amazing.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it is unbelievable. Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, thank you so much for taking your time.
Thank you. Busy. No, thank you so much for having me. And thank you for coming and experiencing anatomy and our culture and our team. And we hope you come back.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
How did you like it? I hope you're going to take action on this because I think this episode was epic and you can literally run with it and build your most amazing and thriving culture at your place with what you hear today. So I hope you liked it. Please make sure to share, rate, comment, suggest next guest. And actually, in our next episode, we are going to have Jordan Syatt in New York City, who is the guru of online coaching amongst many other things. You may have known him as the coach of Gary Vaynerchuk, but we know him as the online guru of the online coaching. So we're going to sit down with him next week in New York City and cannot wait to share it with you. And remember that I have shared and going to link in and share Marc Megna's amazing documentary. So make sure to check it out because I think you're gonna be able to learn a lot from it. Thank you guys again for watching and see you next week.